And what was your question for me?
I asked, what does it look like? What does it mean to really work on yourself?
Oh, okay. To work on yourself is simply from within, watch the thoughts. No more or no less. And every one of you had thoughts in here today, and you came up with an idea about those thoughts, the definition, it was all lies. You're none of those things. They were none of your thoughts. It was just a thought that came, and if you can practice watching those thoughts, they would just come and go. And they would have no meaning, they would do nothing, you won't feel anything or anything. It would just be thoughts coming and going. And the more you watch them, the weaker they get, to the point that Satan gonna have to depart from you. It's just a thought. And this thing about you being a bitch, or you being, what was that thing you are? You enjoy
Authentic.
what is it?
Authentic.
Authentic? You're not authentic. You're neither authentic or non-authentic. You're neither a bitch or not a bitch. You're neither good or evil. You're never angry. You're not angry or or angry. You're none of those things. All those things come from a thought. And a thought is just a thought until you add to it. Until you say, oh, but I'm angry because. Or I'm a bitch because. Or I'm lonely because. I need to break up with this so-called friend because. It's just a thought. And if you never had the thought, you will always do what you need to do. And there's no thinking. I promise you there's no thinking. It's just a thought, and you're not watching them all day to see where do you think coming from. You're believing them because and when you can test this. Sometime at home, sit at home in the room by yourself 4 or 5 minutes with nothing on, making no phone calls, just watching these thoughts come and go. And you will start to see, because the light is allowing you to see the thoughts, and you will start to see that ain't no way I'm thinking all this. Ain't no way I'm feeling this. Even the thing about, I gotta sit and meditate, I gotta be this, those are just plain old thoughts too. That is Satan reminding you about what you've heard, the intellect. And so he created those things into a thought. They are only practical thoughts about what kind of car you drive, what kind of gas you want, or going to eat for dinner. Other than that, there's no need to be thinking. You want a no-thinking life. When you leave this meeting, you don't want to be thinking about what's said. It would be you want to understand it, of course, but you don't want to go and think about what we talked about here because you're going to quote it, because it's stuck in the intellect, and you're going to quote it to somebody, to yourself first, and then to someone else, and you're going to feel holy. It's just a thought. It's not, there is, just think about it. Well, don't think, I'm scared to tell you, I was thinking now. There's a conscious thinking. Just think about this. There is no you, so if there's no you, how can you be all these things you said just now? There literally is no you. It's all an illusion. And they come from thoughts. If you got drunk last night, you're not a drunk. But the devil tell you, oh, you got drunk because you're a drunk. Or you did this or you're that. You're none of these things at all. And it's not going to become real clear to you until you start catching these thoughts and know that they're not you. Because once you see them, you're going to realize at the same time they're not you. And that's what it means to be working on yourself. Just simply look at the not you. And that's the thoughts. And the feeling, because the feeling confirms the thoughts. You can't have the feeling unless you have the thoughts, right? And once you become more aware of those thoughts, the feeling won't exist either. It'll disappear. The feeling of being afraid, of loneliness, or whatever you're feeling. It's just a thought. That's all it is. Just think about that. It's just a thought. But the world have taught you to define thoughts, and now you believe you're the thoughts. And read that scripture about overcoming the world, James. You're not going to overcome the world if you don't do this. Hear it.
1 John 2:15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
That's right. All your thinking is keeping you loving the world with these false identities. And eventually, people that you have crossed your pathway along the highway, family, so-called friends, relationships, you will forget about those things. It's like somebody coming to these meetings and they come often and all of a sudden they don't show up anymore. Don't you forget about them? You forget them because you're not into the thinking. And they're all from evil. They're not from God. God is about knowing. He's about understanding. He's not about thinking. And if you be aware, you will find yourself living a no-thought life with no identity at all. Zero identity. And there will be no past. There will be no future. There will be no time. Time will disappear. But you got to be aware of the thinking thing. It's just a thought and it's not coming from you. Anybody want to comment on that? Okay, let me take this young lady first and then here.
That's pretty deep because for some reason I identified with being, like I was taking accountability for my actions, therefore I was a bitch because like I was taking accountability for it.
That's what the devil does.
But it doesn't mean that's who I am, like what I am.
Yeah. You're not
so
even accountable for what you've done.
Right, right.
It's the thought that made you do it.
Yeah.
It made you carry out an act. And God doesn't hold you accountable for that at all. But go ahead.
No, it's just, for so long, people are telling me, like, you have to take accountability for your actions because you're a bitch or whatever, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right about that.
But I thought that's what I was doing right by taking accountability. But it was also just destroying me.
Absolutely. Y'all hear that? Take accountability. They tell you that all the time. Take accountability. Take accountability. You're accountable for that. And you're taking accountability. Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. I did that. I should have. And you end up destroying yourself because you're becoming one with evil. You're saying you are evil and that's who you are. And all evil can do, anger is evil. There's no love in it at all. There's no returning to the Father or anything. You are not accountable for anything. And the moment you see that clearly, all this stuff that we do as a result of the influence will stop. It will cease. But as long as you're taking responsibility, it will continue. It's like what you were saying about this guy. You keep calling him or he call you because you're thinking about him. If you let the thought pass, you wouldn't call. If you saw him, fine. If you didn't, fine. It wouldn't be a big deal. Because there would be no feelings with it at all. It's a thought. You got to be aware of the thinking. You got to be aware of the thought. That's good. So that's why you need to do the silent prayer and practice being aware of just the thoughts. And you're going to see all these thoughts coming in. And another thing you're going to become aware of is that they disappear. It's like they vanish away. Where did they go? Because in time, thoughts cannot last. It just passes through. They can't last, so they disappear, and then they give you more. And then they disappear, and then they give you more. But when you're aware, you're going to stay present in time, and thoughts has no meaning. They got to find some other human being, blind human being to live in. So you're not accountable for those things. Yes, those things did happen, but it wasn't you. So don't argue with the world about it. Oh, yeah, I'm taking accountability, right? Just let them say what they want. You now understand it's this thing in you, it's not you. So don't argue with the world at all because you can't prove the truth to the world. You have to see it, and that's it. No one else has to see it. That make sense?
Yes.
So work on watch those thoughts. There's literally nothing else you can or should do because it's spiritual. The only thing you need to stop doing is calling yourself the things that the thoughts tell you that you are. because you identify with it. They say, oh, you're a sinner. Now you feel like a sinner. You got to rush out and try to be saved. You know what I mean? Yes. And then I come here, buddy. Anybody ever felt like a sinner that needed to be saved?
Yes.
Isn't that a mess? They told us that. And we've been running around to 1,000 churches trying to get saved. And nothing worked. Because it was just a thought. And they put the definition around what a sinner is. Now you try to get saved, and the people who tell you you're a sinner need to be saved, they ain't saved. Wait a minute, I'm sorry.